Hey guys, Mono here. As you get deeper into your Helldiver career, you'll notice that by far the limiting factor for progression isn't currency or samples, it's mostly medals. Around level 30 you should have pretty much every stratagem and all of the meaningful ship modules unlocked or upgraded. Medals, which can help you unlock the new armor sets, new primary weapons, grenades, super credits, and some really powerful boosters like the stamina booster are extremely slow to get and you need a lot of them. So I'll show you what you can do to get as many medals as fast as possible, and this is actually the way to get most XP and the most amount of requisition credits as fast as possible. It's actually really easy to do, but I will warn you though before we start, you'll want to do this while listening to a podcast or something because it will get really boring really fast. So just so you know what you're signing up for, this isn't a fun way to play this game. Don't do this if you think you will get burned out, because otherwise you'll just be ruining yourself a fantastic video game. So you can get around 80 to 95 medals an hour considering load times and all of that, which is a pretty solid number when you consider a regular mission nets you around 8 to 14 medals, and those take anywhere from like 20 minutes to 40 minutes to complete. Also considering load times, so this is a lot faster. Alright, what you want to do is complete Helldiver difficulty eradication missions, which are the ones where you just need to kill a specific amount of enemies, and you want to do this as many times as possible, as fast as possible. Also, do this against the automatons, not the bugs. I just find those missions to be easier and faster because of where the enemies spawn, and at Helldive difficulty you get way too many chargers and bile titans, which can make things a lot harder. Also, the bugs tend to swarm in the turrets that we're going to be using and destroying them. So just go to any automaton planet and look for the missions that have this triangle looking icon and check that they are indeed the eradication mission and not the base seek and destroy ones. Ideally, you want to find an operation that has two of these. That way, the first mission will give you 8 medals and the second one will give you 11, so you get an average of 9.5 for each of them instead of the flat 8 that you get if there's only one of them, and then you have to move to another operation or even another planet to get another one. You want to do this with a 4-man group, of course, though you can pull this off even solo. It will take a lot longer and get pretty rough. You should see a bunch of people actually playing these missions on any given planet from the automatons, so either join their session or just start your own and then drop an SOS beacon at the very start. You might actually get connection errors when you try and join these active missions from other players because they are over so quickly that the refresh rate on the planet selection screen for the active missions isn't fast enough to properly sync them. So, just keep trying, or maybe wait for a new one to pop in and then select that one. That's gonna work. Otherwise, I would recommend just joining the official Discord and looking for players there because you'll find them really easily and they tend to be really cool because they are all just looking for other players to play with. I will provide a link to that Discord down in the video description. As for the loadout that you want to bring the following stratagems: the mortar, the EMS mortar, the autocannon turret, and the rocket turret. There are some variations to this. Some people like to bring in a railgun to deal with the heavier units instead of the rocket turret. I've been bringing in the manned heavy machine gun. I will explain why in a bit, but I think it's actually really effective. Another option is to bring the orbital laser, which, though you only get to use it once before the mission is over, it can really speed up the process as well. Really though, the time it will take to complete the mission will vary greatly depending on the type of units that drop and where they drop, which is random. So if you get a lot of tanks and not a lot of fodder enemies, that's gonna make the mission take longer no matter what. If you do bring in the lasers though, make sure you don't drop them all at once, because that will just be complete overkill and you will run out of enemies for the lasers to kill and they will just disappear without having done much. So don't do that. Stagger your use of the orbital laser and wait until there's enough enemies on the map. In terms of placement, you want to place both mortar turrets behind the highest point on the map so they have some cover and they don't get destroyed by stray fire from your own turrets, enemies, or teammates. Don't place them too close to the edge though, because they can and will get shot, and the mortar rounds sometimes catch the edge when they're shooting at an enemy, so not a good idea. The autocannon I'd be placing off to the side here to catch anything dropping at the back or going up the ramp. And the rocket sentry, I just place it to the left of this bunker. Really though, with 4 players bringing in their turrets, positioning isn't going to be super important unless you really mess it up by just throwing it where the actual enemies land. If I bring in the heavy machine gun sentry manned thing, which is what I tend to do now, I place it on the main landing area off to the left side so you can shoot down onto this corridor. I tend to do that at the very start so that spot doesn't get taken by another thing. The idea for bringing in the heavy machine gun emplacement is that it will help you clear out the fodder enemies or any stray enemies that might make it to the top. And this will help you out in 2 different ways. One, it's gonna help the mortars prioritize the heavier units like hulks and tanks, and the other is that it's gonna minimize the risk of a bunch of units getting to where you and the turrets are. Sometimes a bunch of them do get up there, they end up throwing grenades or shooting at you and destroying your turrets, and then you're looking at a 6 to 7 minute mission instead of a 2.5 minute one. It's not the worst, it's not the end of the world, but it's not what you want to do. Another thing that you can experiment with is having the recoilless rifle to shoot at the enemy ship's engines and destroy them before the units actually land, but it seems to be inconsistent in terms of whether or not it counts the enemies as killed or not. So it might actually be worse. I haven't done extensive testing on this, but yeah, I found it to be inconsistent. If you've done testing with this and you know the answer to this, definitely drop a comment down below. Tell us what you found. As for the regular equipment, it doesn't really matter. 99% of the time, you won't be using any of it. But for your main weapon, you can go for either the breaker, the defender, or the detonator, I think the explosive ammo one is called, or the Scorcher if you haven't unlocked already, but you're probably looking at this video so you can unlock the Scorcher. Either of them are fine. Bringing in an armor like the one that has the 50% chance of not dying is okay and will help out if you get shot, but it's not required. Basically, bring in anything that you can use to fight off a few of the double chainsaw guys off, and you should be fine. And that's it, guys. That is basically all you need to know to get as many medals as fast as humanly possible in Helldivers 2. I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, thank you for watching, and I hope I will catch you in the next one.